Oh God, oh woe is me, I don't know what to do with myself. It's just that, after braving the horror that was The Mummy on PS1, which admittedly did make for a great video that you should watch if you haven't already, and if you have, well, watch it again. But anyway, after dragging myself through that miserable and wretched hellscape, I just feel completely broken. That game, with its horrible controls and physics and insane difficulty as a result, just took me to the edge of my sanity, and now I'm left with no desire to even look at another video game, especially one from the same era. I just feel so lost and dejected, a shell of my usual happy-go-lucky self. I need something to show me there's still hope in this dark and desolate world. I need a game to reignite my passion, to make me feel alive again. Well, as it happens, I just may have found it. Oh boy, have I got a treat for you. But first, let me ask a question. Are you ready to embrace your inner savage? To feel your heart pounding and the blood rushing through your veins as you unleash terror and slaughter upon the wicked? What am I talking about? Well, just get a load of this shit. Holy shit, what the fuck was that? That, my friends, is Future Cop. What is Future Cop? Well, exactly what it says on the tin. It's about cops in the future, and that's all you need to know. Oh, and it also may just be my new favourite game. Why? Well, that's what I'm here to tell you, so buckle up, because I'm about to take you on a wild ride all the way into the future. And without any further delay, let's get into it. So Future Cop LAPD was developed for PS1, Mac and Windows by EA Redwood Shores, later known as Visceral Games, and published by, Electronic Arts. Don't worry, this was all the way back in 1998, before all of the studio killing, the tarnishing of beloved IPs and all the loot box bullshit, so we should be okay. Right? So we get started, and I love here on the screen with all the legal shit where it says the LAPD doesn't endorse or have anything to do with this game. Yeah, that gave me a chuckle. It's like, yeah, they may not endorse it, but I bet every police department in America's, and let's face it, probably the whole entire world's biggest wet dream is to have a giant fuck-off mech they can use to just mow down anyone who pisses them off. We then get a quick intro movie to explain the lore of this futuristic dystopia we're stepping into. The year is 2098 and the City of Angels has seen better days, overrun by gangs, drug lords, crazy cults, genetic mutants and rogue AIs. To be honest, it sounds pretty much like LA right now. I mean, come on, it's no more unbelievable than Los Angeles and fucking Blade Runner. 2019, eh? Yeah, I remember that year, before the end times. Don't remember it looking quite like that though. Anyway, to even the odds against the ever-worsening onslaught of degeneracy, the LAPD is rolling out the newest weapon in their arsenal. You, X1 Alpha, the latest in crime-fighting and civil rights suppressing technology. Your mission is simple. Bring law and order to the streets of LA by any means necessary. There will be no arrests, no lawyers, no courtrooms, and no mercy. Just good old-fashioned punishment. Yeah. After the intro, we come to the main menu where we see that we actually have a couple game modes to choose from, Crime War and Precinct Assault, both of which can be played alone or in multiplayer. But once again, Mr. Popularity here probably couldn't find company in a free whorehouse, so yeah, big shock, we're going with the single player. Next we enter our name, and again there's not enough fucking spaces for Davy J. 9 letters guys, 9 letters, that's all I'm asking for. I mean, it's not like I'm asking the fucking world here, am I? But even then, they managed to fuck it up even more because they couldn't even give us a handy keypad to quickly type out the letters we want. And instead we've got to cycle through the entire fucking alphabet one letter at a time. Twice if you want capitals. Fuck's sake, man. We just want to get into the fucking game. Anyway, you select your zone, which is just the level select, and then we get a cutscene to brief us on the scumbag we're going after. And in the first mission, it's this guy called Miles Mysterio. Is this part of some new alternate Spidey timeline? Earth 649-648-354 or something? But anyway, this is the guy we're going after. Why? Who gives a shit? I'm a cop, I don't care what he did. I just want to fuck him up and haul his sorry ass downtown, preferably in a body bag. So let's get to it. But not just yet, because now we've got to choose our weapons. We've only got a couple options right now, but you'll unlock more as you progress. And with that out of the way, let the slaughter begin! Hey you, reach for the sky! Or don't, I don't give a shit, I'll blow you away either way! What, that's against the law? Fuck that, I am the law, bitch!
I am the law!
So what can this tin can do? Well actually, quite a bit. You can move around, strafe, jump, use switches and things, and you can hold down the action button to move slowly, which helps when you need to move carefully and with precision, like when you're going along narrow walkways. Yeah, finally we've found a developer fully aware of just how clumsy and janky PS1 controls were, and actually gave us the means to mitigate it, and out of all of them it was fucking EA! Yeah, I mean considering the kind of publisher EA would become in just a few short years and the reputation they have nowadays, that just seems really insane to me. But what about the most important shit? What about the stuff we use to massacre any fucker dumb enough to get in our way? Well, if you were paying attention when we were picking our weapons, you saw that we have 3 weapon types at our disposal. We've got our basic gun weapon, which we use for ventilating all the sentient meat bags we come across. Then we've got our heavy weapon, which as the name implies is for blowing away heavy vehicles and turrets and shit. And then we've got our special weapon, which is mostly just for unleashing pure biblical destruction on all of the evildoers before us, and is great for taking out the biggest and strongest enemies as well as clearing away large crowds. Yeah, you got a riot on your hands, just lob a plasma flare in, simple as. And of course, within those categories, we gradually unlock a bunch of extra weapons to choose from, cause if Gears 2 ever taught me anything, it's that variety is the spice of death. Oh, and if all that wasn't cool enough, turns out we're also a transformer. Yeah, if you press L1 and R1 together, then you turn into a futuristic police hovercar, which I guess makes sense. I mean, if Michael Bay was to ever make a PS1 game, this would probably be the one. Bad Boys 2098, coming soon to a cinema near you. So anyway, we know our objective and what we have to do to achieve it. It's nothing scientific, you just make your way through the level, massacring all the fuckers and blowing up all the vehicles and turrets and shit in your way. No more, no less. Along the way, you'll come across these police chest things, inside the enemy stronghold for some reason, but whatever, that replenish your health and ammo and also give you power-ups for your weapons. And if you ever forget that, don't worry, cause your handler, who talks to you throughout the whole game, will make sure to remind you, throughout the whole entire fucking game.
That's a gun weapon power-up. That's a heavy weapon power-up. That's a special weapon power-up. That's a gun weapon power-up. That's a heavy weapon power-up. That's a gun weapon. That's a heavy weapon special weapon. Heavy weapon special weapon. Gun weapon special weapon power-up.
I mean, yeah, I get it for maybe the first couple missions, but she's still telling you this shit all the way in the last fucking mission. Like, yeah, thanks love, but I think I've figured it out by now. And then once you make it through all this shit, you'll eventually come to the guy you're actually there to arrest. But is he going to come quietly? Well, actually, yeah, pretty much. He saw the level of sheer destruction we just rained down on all of his minions and is like, yeah, fuck that, take me to jail, I'm much safer there. And they all lived happily ever after. Nah, I'm just kidding, of course he's not going down without a fight. So yeah, every level ends with a boss battle. These are pretty simple as well, you just blast the shit out of the guy and all this stuff until he goes boom, and yeah, there you go, job done. So now it's on to the next mission, and this is where we'll take a deeper look at the gameplay. And in stark fucking contrast to the rancid trash heap that was The Mummy, the controls and movement here are actually pretty good. In fact, they're some of the best I've come across yet, the PS1 at least. Which I guess is understandable. I mean, it would make sense that the controls that usually make every game feel like you're piloting a giant lumbering mech are actually good in a game where you're piloting a giant lumbering mech. Who'd have thought? But yeah, the controls feel better here than in most of the other games I've looked at so far. They've got a good amount of weight to them, but they're not too heavy or clunky, and they're nice and responsive. They're not perfect, they still feel a little oversensitive, even with the precision movement mode. You've got to be careful not to hold the stick or the button too long, cause you can easily end up moving too far and walking over an edge, and it can be difficult getting yourself facing in the exact right direction you want to go, but overall, they're not that bad. I can't say the same for the car controls. The hovercar's pretty much for going over places where you can't go in mech mode, like water and shit, and for bits where you need to move fast, cause you move way quicker as a car than you do as a mech. And well, all I can say is if the cars of the future handle as bad as this, then we're gonna have some real problems. Well, not me, I'll be plant food by then, so I don't give a shit, but anyway, yeah, car mode's way harder to control than mech mode. It's got way less weight to it and the controls feel a lot more sensitive, so you're just slipping around all over the place like you're on fucking ice, meaning it's even easier to overshoot turns and harder to turn the way you want. Kinda reminds me of the vehicle missions from Action Man, to be honest. So yeah, even though it's a pretty cool feature and helps make for more varied gameplay, I only really bothered with the car mode at the bits where you have to use it, and stuck with the regular mech mode for everything else. The jumping can be a bit irritating as well, for the opposite reason. While it's fine for the most part, it can be a bit awkward when you're trying to jump up a ledge or across a gap. You've got to make sure to keep the stick or directional button pressed for longer than you'd expect to, otherwise it's really easy to fall back down or undershoot a jump, which really starts to become a problem in the later missions where you do come up against some pretty fiddly platforming sections. So yeah, that's just something you've got to watch out for. Anyway, in the third mission, you're taking on a crazy cult what's abducted some celebrity or something. An insane cult operating out of California that indoctrinates celebrities into their ranks? Where have I heard that before? But anyway, this is where things start to get a bit more difficult. And annoying. See, even though the game does help you quite a bit by giving you both a mini-map and a full screen map, it still can be a little confusing figuring out where you need to go. The thing is, the environments can be so dense and detailed that it can be difficult to discern what's a path you can use to get further into the level and what's just part of the scenery. So there'll be times where you'll just be going around jumping all over shit to see if there's a way through, which most of the time there isn't. So that can be a bit irritating since it can take a little while to figure out exactly where you need to go. The boss fights at the end of each level can be annoying as well. They're simple enough, you just blast the shit out of them until they die, but the annoying thing is they have no health bar or indicator that you're doing damage to them until they start smoking, that is. But before that, there's no way to tell if you're hurting them, so it can be a bit confusing, like you'll be shooting these guys and it'll look like nothing's happening, so you might start wondering if you need to do something else. But nah, just keep on blasting them and they'll eventually die. So yeah, if it wasn't obvious already, despite a couple minor annoyances, I fucking love this game. It's just so much fun and feels really good to play. So much so that it just seems too good to be true. I mean, come on, there's got to be a catch. There's always a catch. Yeah, it might just be my jaded and cynical brain talking, but whenever we get something good, I just can't help but expect there to be another shoe waiting to drop. Some downside to piss on our parade and remind us why we just can't have nice things. I mean, it's happened enough fucking times, especially in gaming, and well, apparently not even a game as good as this can escape that seemingly immutable truth. Yeah, so even though the game, for the most part, is awesome and a total blast to play, see what I did there? Blast? You know, cause you're going around blasting shit? Anyway, even though the game is really good, it does have one major problem. No fucking checkpoints! I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, it's 1998, guys! Is it really that much to ask that we get a few checkpoints in each mission? Apparently so.
Why?
Why, Lucy? I'll tell you why. Cause the world is a sad and cruel place where whenever we get something good, there always has to be a downside just waiting to rear its ugly head and piss all over us. That's why. So yeah, you get killed once and it's right back to the start of the mission. And you know what? In the earlier missions, the game was just so much fun that I really didn't give much of a shit. But as I got further in and things started getting difficult, yeah, it really starts to become a massive pain in the arse. Especially since you start coming up against things that can kill you really quickly. And these levels aren't that short either. Again, they're not huge, but they can take a little while to get through. And when you're getting killed late into the level, or even when you're fighting the final boss, and then you're forced to start all over again from the beginning, yeah, that's nearly enough to make me want to put my fist through the fucking screen. So yeah, bottom line is, have some fucking checkpoints, you wankers! But anyway, from here on out, the core gameplay doesn't really change that much. You're just going from level to level, blasting bad guys until you reach the boss. So now I think we'll take a closer look at the presentation side. I really like the graphics. The art style strikes a nice balance between colourful and futuristic while maintaining a good level of grittiness that you'd expect to see from this kind of dark cyberpunky world. The environments are well detailed and a lot of effort has gone into making each level visually distinct from one another. The character models are pretty good as well, although that may just be because the camera's zoomed out for the most part, so you don't really get that closer look at them. I love the soundtrack. It really slaps, as the kiddies like to say these days. It's a cool, moody mix of thumping and grungy late 90s techno and intense orchestral scores that fits well with this dark dystopian sci-fi world we've found ourselves in. I love it. When you first start the game and hear that pounding techno track mixed with the police radio chatter, it really gets you in the mood for dispensing some justice. The voice acting's pretty good too. There's not a whole lot, mostly just your handler guiding you through the missions, which is good since I'd imagine it would get pretty boring if you were just going around blasting bad guys with nothing but the sound effects and music for company. And then you've got the bosses taunting and threatening you as you get nearer to them, and all of it's suitably humorous and over the top, which plays into another thing I really like about this game, and that's its sense of humour. See, even though the game is set in what would most likely in reality be a really dark and depressing world, it's completely self-aware of how campy and absurd a concept it is. So yeah, none of this is played straight, which is understandable. I mean, how can you take any of this shit seriously when you've got giant mutated slugs slithering down the LA Canal, and giant bats, and hell, even the fucking Sarlacc pit from Return of the Jedi puts in an appearance? To be honest, it kinda reminds me a bit of Fallout, you know, with its kind of dreary and depressing world but dark and zany sense of humour to add a bit of levity, which was the way to go. I mean, if there's one thing I can't stand, it's when games with silly concepts take themselves way too seriously. Oh, way up there, Fahrenheit. But anyway, let's get back to the gameplay, and if I had one complaint, apart from the lack of checkpoints, it's that, as I've already mentioned, the core gameplay doesn't really evolve all that much. Even though each mission does feel distinct from one another, you're really just doing the same thing over and over again. You're just going through these levels, slaughtering bad guys and then fucking up the boss at the end. And while that is fun, as you get further into the game, the novelty does start to wear off after a while, to the point where it feels like you're just kind of going through the motions. And although you do unlock some new weapons, and there are some unique, smaller set pieces within some missions, it doesn't really do enough to keep the gameplay feeling fresh. It would have been nice if they could have come up with some more unique challenges for individual missions and maybe included some unlockable upgrades for your mech that have a greater effect on gameplay, kind of like the Armored Core games. So since we're approaching the final mission, I thought we'd take a time out from the main game to look at this other mode, Precinct Assault. So this is essentially a base capture game that you can either play alone against the AI controlled Sky Captain or with a friend. The name of the game is to create units to destroy the enemy's units and take their base, which, as I'm certain has been mentioned by virtually every other review, makes it one of the earliest MOBA games, whatever the fuck they are. I don't play that modern shite. But anyway, to win, you've got to get one of your tanks into the enemy base, but to build tanks and other units, you need points. But how do you get points? Well, if it was made today, you'd either have to grind for hours on end or just buy them from the in-game shop. But thankfully this wasn't made today, so instead you just have to destroy enemy units or turn neutral turrets over to your side. Yes, go. Go, my pretties, go forth and bring us glory. Lay down your lives in service to your master. So yeah, that's about it. Just keep building units and destroying the enemies while keeping yours safe, and eventually one will make it into the base and there you go, you won. And one go on that is enough for me, for the rest of my life. Yeah, it was fine enough, but I just found it too slow and boring. It's just not my type of game. Anyway, back to the main game, and in the final mission you're going up against a rogue AI what's taken over the city's central power grid or whatever and is turning people into cyborgs or some shit. See, ChatGPT, this is where it's going. They tried to warn us. But anyway, it's pretty much the same as everything that's come before. You just blast your way through all the shit it throws at you and then blow it up. And yeah, that's it. I guess Los Angeles is free from crime now. Yeah, the end is kind of underwhelming. I guess cause there's no real overarching story to get invested in. So yeah, there you go. So that was Future Cop LAPD, and in conclusion, Jesus Christ, if there was ever a game in desperate need of a remake, I mean fuck, we can get a remaster of the fucking Last of Us Part 2, what didn't even come out 5 fucking years ago, but we can't get a remake of this? What the fuck? But anyway, yeah, this was a lot of fun, and just what I needed to take away the taste of shit from the fucking Mummy, and the Phantom Menace. Yeah, I'm still not over that shit either. It doesn't do anything groundbreaking or complex, but what it does do, it does really well. It controls well for the most part, the combat's engaging, the graphics and art style are really cool, the soundtrack's awesome, and overall, as I said, it's just really fun to play. There are a couple annoying little drawbacks, like the lack of checkpoints, and the gameplay doesn't really evolve all that much, to the point where it starts to feel a bit stale towards the end, but that wasn't enough to ruin the fun or dampen my enjoyment. I really can't recommend this game enough, and it's insane just how overlooked and underappreciated it is. Perhaps even, you might say, criminal? Again, you see what I did there, eh? So yeah, play it. Now, that's an order. Don't make me send X1 Alpha round, cause I will. Yeah. Man, I needed that, after the fucking Mummy. Jesus Christ, that really was a breath of fresh air. So yeah, don't worry guys, I'm back to my old chipper self and ready to take on more classic PS1 titles. I'm sure there won't be any more that'll drag me kicking and screaming to the brink of insanity. Right. But anyway, thank you very much for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, then leave a like. If you didn't, then tell me to go fuck myself. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you enjoy my content and have yet to subscribe, I will be extremely grateful if you would do so. And as always, thank you ever so much to everyone who already has. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.